notice. She made sure no one was watching as she dropped the wrapper in front of the shrine.
Ngozi, why? How could you do this to me? I'm your sister.
Amaka, it's not like that.
I can't believe what you've done. Amaka, please let me explain. Explain what? Amaka left her in anger and heading home. Ngozi remained under the tree, alone. For a moment, the night was silent. She believed her secret was safe.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tales by Favorite. Hit that red subscribe button and join me for some amazing stories. You won't regret it.
In Umudik, rumors do not come loudly. They arrive quietly, like morning mist that covers everything slowly and gently, almost as if they mean nothing at first. One early morning, before the sun was fully up, Amaka went to the stream to fetch water, the same way she always did. The air was cool, the water shone softly. Everything looked normal, but something felt different. The women greeted her, but their answers came slowly. They were not rude, only careful. When she came close, their conversation stopped. When she walked away, the talking started again. Then she heard it behind her, the quiet one, Amaka. A small laugh followed. She slowed her steps. She tried to remember. What did I do? Who are they talking about? It must be a mistake. She balanced the pot on her head and walked home faster. Sometimes, when you do not understand something, you just want to get away from it. That afternoon, Ngozi came back from the market. She did not walk with her usual confidence. She was very quiet. Amaka asked her gently what was wrong. Ngozi only shrugged. "People talk too much in this village," she said. Her voice was sharp, like it could hurt. In the evening, Papa Namdi returned from the village meeting. His face looked worried. He sat outside for a long time, even after it became dark. He did not move. When Amaka went to him, he asked a heavy question. "Have you been going anywhere at night?" The words felt like a stone dropped between them. By the next day, the story had grown. Someone said they saw a shadow near the old shrine. Another person said they heard a man's voice in the dark. There was no proof, but in Umudik, when people repeat something many times, it starts to feel like the truth. The old shrine was a place everyone feared. Children stayed away from it. Women walked around it. Even grown men spoke quietly when they passed by. Now, somehow, people were connecting Amaka's name to that place. Little by little, things changed. When children saw her coming, someone called them away. Mothers looked somewhere else when she passed. The small distance people kept from her became a big, painful wall. Even some of the men started looking at her differently, not with respect anymore, but with doubt. One night, Amaka could not sleep. She lay looking at the zinc roof. Her heart felt heavy. Her mind was full of questions. Then she heard footsteps outside, quick and careful, like someone who did not want to be seen. She got up and went outside to look. The compound was empty. Only the wind moved the trees. Then she went back inside to sleep. When she finally fell asleep, she had a dream that was familiar to the incident.
Who the hell is walking outside my compound by this time of the night? Has! Get away! Help somebody! Help somebody! No! Amicio! Snapio! Say Snapio! Say Snapio! No! Snapio!
Wind moved the trees. A few days later, the village messenger came. He called out loudly, "The elders want Papa Namdi and his daughter to come." That morning, in the village square, under a pale orange, harmattan sky, people gathered slowly. Whispers moved through the crowd like dry leaves in the wind. Amaka stood in the middle. For the first time in her life, she felt very small. The ground seemed unsteady under her feet. The sky felt too big. She heard pieces of talk around her. If she has made the spirits angry, it will affect all of us. Papa Namdi should have taught her better. Papa Namdi stood beside her. His back was straight. His face was calm, but inside, heavy thoughts were turning in his mind. Trust alone could not stop a whole village from talking. The oldest elder raised his hand. Everyone became quiet at once. "Child," he said to Amaka, "have you ever walked the path to the shrine?" She lifted her head. "No, sir. I do not even go near it in the daytime." Her voice did not shake. Then came another question. "You said you heard footsteps outside your compound?" Amaka stopped moving. Her father turned to her quickly. "You did not tell me that. I did not think it was important," she said softly. But now it was important. Ngozi stood among the women. Her face looked calm, but her fingers held her wrapper very tightly. Things were moving faster than she thought they would. Now the story had a clear shape, a shadow near the shrine, a wrapper seen on the path, footsteps coming toward her home. In a village, when something is repeated enough, it becomes the truth, even when the real truth is missing. Papa Namdi stepped forward. "If someone came near my compound," he said firmly, "then someone is trying to pull my family into this trouble. I ask that we find the real person." Another elder spoke slowly. "If someone is guilty, the land must be cleansed. If the accusation is false, the same thing must happen." The word cleansed stayed in the air. It was heavy. It meant something public, serious, and impossible to forget. Amaka felt cold in her stomach, not because she was afraid they would find her guilty, but because she understood something frightening. This was no longer about finding the truth. It was about keeping balance, and balance often asked for someone to pay a price. The meeting ended without a final decision, but the silence that came after was worse than any judgment. The whole village was waiting. That night, Umudik did not feel peaceful. Dogs barked more than usual. The wind moved through the trees with long, restless sounds. Something had changed. Inside the house, Mama Nkem held Amaka's hands tightly. "I know you," she whispered. "You would never disrespect this land." Amaka nodded, but her eyes were not strong anymore. "Then why is this happening?" she asked. Her mother opened her mouth, but no words came. Because sometimes, in a village like this, the truth does not decide what happens to you. Outside, under the moonlight, Papa Namdi sat alone. He thought about jealous neighbors, old arguments, hidden enemies. When something goes wrong in Umudik, someone has to carry the blame, and now that blame was pointing toward his daughter. Far from their compound, near the narrow path to the shrine, a shadow moved quietly. It watched, it waited, and the truth was still hiding in the dark. While the village slept, Ngozi gently pushed aside the raffia curtain of her family hut and stepped outside. She paused for a moment and looked back, her heart pounding. If anyone saw her, everything would change. Then she slipped into the shadows. She moved carefully between the huts, keeping to the darker paths. Moonlight stretched long shadows across the ground, making every movement feel dangerous. Her breathing was shallow. Every small sound made her tense, but she did not turn back. Tonight, she had chosen her path. Under the great tree at the edge of the village, a man was waiting. 2 palace guards stood behind him, silent and watchful, their spears catching the moonlight. Ngozi slowed as she approached. This was no ordinary meeting. This was risk. They spoke in low, hurried whispers, and Ngozi's face showed fear, but also determination. The guards watched closely, their presence heavy with mourning. What she was doing could change her life forever. But the night had another witness. Hidden behind a mud wall, Amaka stood frozen. Her eyes widened as she recognized her sister, and the men she was speaking to. Shock quickly turned to fear, then to anger. Ngozi was not only breaking a rule, she was risking their family's honor. The meeting ended quickly. The stranger gave a brief nod and walked away. The guards followed, their figures fading into the darkness. Ngozi remained under the tree, alone. For a moment, the night was silent. She believed her secret was safe. She was wrong. "Ngozi!" The voice came from behind her. She turned sharply. Amaka stepped out of the shadows, her face filled with anger and disbelief. She grabbed Ngozi's wrist. "What are you doing? Meeting strange men at night? Do you understand what this means?" Ngozi struggled slightly. "You don't understand," she said. The air between them grew heavy. "If father finds out, if the elders hear of this," Amaka whispered, "you will bring shame to this family." Ngozi slowly pulled her hand free. Her eyes were filled with fear, but her voice was steady. "I would rather face shame than live my life trapped by traditions that are breaking me." The wind moved through the leaves above them, and beneath the ancient tree, the bond between the sisters began to crack. Amaka could not believe it. She quickly ran home through the dark paths and reported the situation to her father. That night, inside Papa Namdi's hut, the air was heavy. The lamp flickered weakly. Nobody spoke. Papa Namdi did not shout, and that silence was more frightening than anger. Mama Nkem stood by the doorway, confused and afraid. Amaka leaned against the wall, her breath still unsteady, and at the center of it all stood Ngozi, still but no longer calm. Papa Namdi looked at her for a long moment, then he asked quietly, "Who was that man?" The question fell like a stone into deep water. Silence answered him, then his voice became firmer. "Ngozi, I will ask only once," but her face remained hard. "He is no one," she said, and before the words could settle, the slap came, sharp, controlled, enough to freeze the room. Mama and Kem gasped. Amaka flinched. Papa Namdi lowered his hand slowly. I did not raise liars, he said. Ngozi's eyes filled with tears, not from weakness, but from frustration. You raised daughters who are suffocating, she fired back. The words shocked everyone, even herself. Her voice trembled, but she continued. You think this village is enough? You think this life is enough? She spoke faster now. My friends who left sent pictures, cities with tall buildings, places where women walk freely, where nobody decides your life for you. I am tired of this small place, she said. Tired of being watched. Tired of tradition choosing everything. Amaka looked at her sister in disbelief. This is about houses? She asked softly. Ngozi shook her head. No, this is about freedom. Papa Namdi's voice cut through the emotion. And so, you destroy your family to get in? The room fell silent. Then slowly, the truth began to slip out. If something happens, if we are forced to leave, we would have to start again somewhere else. Mom and Kem covered her mouth. Amaka's voice broke. You wanted us banished? Ngozi whispered. I wanted us out. You think shame disappears in the city? Papa Namdi asked. You think disgrace builds opportunity? Ngozi had no answer. The silence that followed was not anger. It was disappointment. You chased light without understanding fire, Papa Namdi said. Ngozi's shoulders began to shake. I was trying to help. Amaka spoke quietly. No, you were trying to escape. Those words hurt more than the slap. Papa Namdi's eyes darkened. Who else knows? Her hesitation was enough. Does Chief Adewale know? The silence answered him. You have opened a door you cannot control, he warned. Men like Adewale do not give freedom. They give debt, dependence, and control. And for the first time, Ngozi was afraid. Not of tradition, not of the village, but of the truth, that she may have traded one cage for another. The room did not feel the same anymore. The oil lamp burned low, its flames struggling against the heavy air. Ngozi stood in the middle of the hut, no longer defiant. Her strength had faded into something fragile. Papa Namdi did not raise his voice. That was what made the moment heavier. His eyes rested on his daughter. Who filled your ears with these promises? Ngozi spoke softly. She talked about glass windows, shining clothes, clean roads without dust. As she spoke, the village around her seemed smaller, and the dream seemed bigger. Amaka listened carefully. For the first time, she did not see betrayal. She saw something else. Longing. Dangerous, restless longing. Mama Ninkum lowered herself onto the stool near the door. Her voice was quiet, almost breaking. And this place, you believe it has nothing for you? The question carried the pain of a mother who feared losing her child. Papa Namdi moved toward the doorway and parted the curtain. Moonlight entered the hut. I have lived in the city, he said. The words shocked everyone. He stepped outside, and the family followed. The compound lay quiet under silver moonlight. The night was calm, but their hearts were not. I once thought the city meant freedom, he said. Tall buildings, money, opportunity. But what he found there was something else. I found noise, competition, people who smile while planning how to use you. His voice was calm, but his eyes carried old memories. I returned because I wanted roots, not just height. Ngozi looked down at her hands. For the first time, her dream did not feel solid. It felt uncertain. Then Papa Namdi spoke the name carefully. Chief Adewale. The air changed immediately. He explained how the man helped families relocate, then tied them down with debt. Freedom, he said, was only another form of control. Amaka stepped forward. You were speaking to his men, weren't you? Ngozi closed her eyes. Yes, the word was barely a whisper, but it was enough to break whatever strength she had left. Mum Kem covered her mouth. Her daughter had invited strangers into their family's fate, and that fear cut deeper than any accusation. You have set fire to dry grass, Papa Namdi said quietly, and now the wind is blowing. The situation was no longer small. It was spreading. He pointed toward the elder square in the distance. The ritual in 3 days is not the end, he warned. It is the beginning. Amaka faced Ngozi. All this for pictures of big houses? Ngozi saw the hurt in her sister's eyes, and this time she could not look away. Later that night, the hut fell silent. The lamp burned almost out. Ngozi lay awake in the darkness. The city no longer looked like freedom. It looked like a question. Outside, Papa Namdi remained seated under the stars. His face was calm, but his mind was moving. If Chief Adewale had entered this matter, then this was no longer about tradition. It was about power, and power never lets go quietly. The sun rose slowly over Umudike, but the village square felt heavy. In the center stood Amaka. White cloth bound her wrists and ankles, the mark of accusation. Beside her, Papa Namdi stood like a pillar, silent, steady, unshaken. Across the square, Chief Adewale watched, confident, but not for long. Without raising his voice, Papa Namdi spoke. "Let those men come forward." The guards hesitated, the elders watched closely, and suddenly, the balance of power began to shift. Under pressure, one guard spoke, then another. Yes, they had walked near the shrine. Yes, they had placed cloth along the path. Whispers spread through the crowd. The truth was beginning to breathe. Then came the question that froze the air. "Who instructed you?" Silence followed. Slowly, all eyes turned to Chief Adewale. The second guard spoke again. Adewale feared Papa Namdi's growing influence. The square erupted. This was no longer suspicion. This was manipulation of sacred tradition, and in Umudike, that was a dangerous crime. The priest stepped forward. Carefully, he untied the white cloth from Amaka's wrists. It fell to the ground. He lifted it high. "The accusation is false. The household is cleared." Mama and Kem wept openly. Amaka did not cry. She simply breathed, free at last. By evening, Chief Adewale stood before the elders. His voice, once powerful, now small. Fines were imposed. His influence was reduced, not destroyed, but weakened. And for a man like him, that was enough. That night, the oil lamp burned quietly inside the family hut. Ngozi knelt before her father. No pride, no excuses. "I was wrong," she said. Papa Namdi looked tired, but his voice was gentle. "You wanted more. That is not wrong, but impatience makes people easy to use." He helped her stand. This was not punishment. This was wisdom. Amaka stepped forward slowly. "You almost lost me," she whispered. Ngozi nodded, tears falling. They embraced. Not perfectly, but honestly. And that is how healing begins. Months passed. This time, change came the right way. Papa Namdi formed new trade partnerships. Farm production increased. The family began to grow stronger, not through disgrace, but through planning. Ngozi still dreamed of something more, but her dreams were different now, wiser, patient. She began attending community workshops in a nearby town. That was where she met Chinedu, a man from the city, educated, calm, respectful. He did not promise luxury. He spoke about growth, with roots. The relationship grew slowly, carefully, with understanding, with respect for family and for tradition. Soon, wedding drums filled Umudike. Ngozi stood radiant, not as someone escaping, but as someone stepping forward with purpose. Then Amaka approached. In her hands, a simple white ribbon. She tied it gently around Ngozi's wrist. This time, white did not mean accusation. It meant wisdom and survival. The day Ngozi left for the city, the whole village came out. There was no shame, no whispers, only celebration. Papa Namdi held her tightly. Mama and Kem wiped her tears. Amaka squeezed her hand. This time, she was not running away. She was moving forward, and she returned often, because she had learned something powerful. Freedom is not escape. Freedom is growth, without losing your roots. In time, peace returned to Umudike, not because nothing happened, but because truth was faced, love was chosen, and pride was humbled. And as the sun set over the village, life continued, stronger, wiser, together. The end.
Hello, thanks for watching. Your next story starts here. Follow Tales by Favorite.